Hello, and welcome to Political Star Talk, an enlightened show about astrology, politics, and the betterment of our society. Join your hostesses Jennie, Sonya, and Sibyl for an hour in the stars. Today's topic is going to be the full moon in Scorpio, as well as we might go into the Venus retrograde May 13th. And I am one of your hostesses, Jennie, and with me I have the beautiful Sibyl Starr. Sibyl, how are you doing?
I'm doing just great, Jennie. Thank you.
Wonderful, and we will have Sonya on in a moment here after I kind of work out the technical kinks. But until then, I'm going to hand it over to Sibyl Starr. Sibyl, you want to start us off with wherever you think we should start?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Yes, you introduced the full moon, and even though the full moon may not be would you say political astrology, yet it is, because the full moon really is about our heart. It's about our emotional body, and this and as we know, at the full moon, emotions are heightened. Every police station or emergency room will tell you they are extra busy during those times. We know the moon affects the tides, and the earth herself responds to the full moon by rising a full 6 inches. So the energy of the moon is very, very significant. And this full moon is in Scorpio. And Scorpio is about turbulent emotions. And I'm going to just share, that's what has been going on with myself, a tremendous amount of turbulent emotion at this time in the midst of where we are. And, for a while I was trying to give it a name. I was saying, oh, this is anger, this is anxiety, this is that. And I realized it's just simply energetic turbulence within me that's in my emotional body. And what I discovered is, and the full moon is always opposite the sun. So the sun is in Taurus at this time. So there is an opposition. And so what has been helping me is to go to Mother Earth. Taurus is the sign most associated with Mother Earth and grounding and being calm and, being that tree whose roots go deep down into the earth while the storm swirls around, knowing that we are in a storm, and in a storm of emotional turbulence as well as mental turbulence, and there's just so much energetic turbulence around us. And to know that in these times, Mother Earth is the one who can hold us. She can hold our energy. And I have found, and this is just for myself, is that when I go, they've opened our local park, thank the goddess, and so I go for like 3 hours at a time. It's a 3.5 mile walk. I see tremendous amounts of nature. I stop and hug trees. I lay on rocks, and I have to tell you, when I am done, I feel like a different person than when I entered that park.
Healing.
And so, yeah. Healing, grounding, and the energy that is coming through so strong right now, she can hold it. It can go from us to her, and especially through trees and rocks. Yeah. So I just want to kind of share that piece of self-care, and to know that in this full moon time, you might be feeling more emotionally turbulent. Okay.
Something to watch for. Something to take a look at and watch for. Yeah, the full moon coming up here in Scorpio, I just wanted to look at the very little I do know about astrology and take a look at Scorpio. In general, what are some of the words you would use to describe Scorpio? You're going to have a lot more descriptive words than I am, but I would think like emotional, yet kind of maybe has an outer shell or a little sting to them, but yet still a water sign and very emotional. How do you normally describe Scorpio?
Well, okay, another piece I'm going to say about this is Scorpio often brings up our shadow. Mm-hmm. And the planet that rules Scorpios, Pluto, has just gone retrograde. And retrograde planets take us within. And Pluto is very much about the shadow. So it feels to me like there is some shadow material wanting to come to light within our own hearts. Because, that's what this is really about. I mean, there's the outer world and the inner world. And I'm going to say the inner world has a whole lot of energy focused towards it right now. I would call Pluto and Scorpio kind of like the energetic roto-rooters of our emotional body. They take us to places where we carry old wounds so that they can come to the light to be healed. Old emotional patterns that just really aren't working anymore come into our conscious awareness, and it can be painful. And we can have a choice. Do we continue with the same pattern, or do we recognize that, this maybe isn't serving me, and maybe you choose to respond in a different way? So the shadow material comes up, and it can take us to some hard places, and it is all about feeling. You cannot get through Scorpio or Pluto without feeling your emotions. You can't intellectualize them. It is emotional ground.
Good. That is much more description than I had. So something to look forward to, because in the way that I see it, when we look in the shadows, we're putting attention toward it, which is shining our light at it, and we can heal it up, bring it to light, do some work in there. So good opportunities, no doubt.
Absolutely. We call these FGOs, I'll just say fucking growth opportunities.
I was like, will you elaborate us? I'm glad that you did. So now I'm going to use that. Yes, yeah. That's good.
Just it's here. It's time. There's to look at. Yeah. All right. So now to go on to so just know, and this Pluto is retrograde for the next 5 months or so, and they're calling this the purification times. So this is about an inner purification. As within, so without. And so there's a lot going on in the outer world, but there's also, we're being called to do that inner purification as well, looking at our own hearts. So, but the other thing is this full moon is trine the planet Neptune. And Neptune is becoming a bigger player into the overall landscape right now. And Neptune is really hard to put into words, but it's an energy. It's like the energy field that we live in. It's that, it's that place where, the indigenous people have always known about energy fields, and now with quantum physics, it's physically being proven. They call it, the Boggs-Hosen field, or the Hosen-Boggs field, I think is what they call it. The field that we are all a part of, and how everything we do impacts the field. We used to say it's the place where we are all connected. Well, it's been scientifically proven now, and some refer to it as the God particle. Anyway, so as I was sitting with what is happening right now, I discovered that one of my own patterns is, when I don't understand something, to go really deeply into my intellect and really research it, which is really good, But what I discovered with this virus and what is going on is that the intellectual understanding only goes so far, because there is a mysterious component to this, and I'm just going to call it energy, and how it travels the field is really not that well understood. They come up with contagion, and yet it doesn't really. In so many ways, these things travel in ways that we don't understand. So we do our best to make it fit into something we do understand. But this is bigger than that. It is an energy. It does have an intellectual component. There is ways we can trace what is happening, and yet there are pieces that we just don't understand. And I feel like that is the Neptunian piece. And what has happened in the last, astrologically, let's see, I think it happened in the evening of May 4th here in California. So some places around the world would have happened May 5th. The nodes of the moon changed. They changed signs. They change signs every 18 months. And if they're not a familiar part of astrology for most people, and there is some physics and astronomy that has to do with them, and I don't understand them that well, so I don't want to misstate it. So I'll just say it. There is a scientific understanding of what these are, but I can't really explain it in a good way. Just know that they're there, and they say in the moon is contained all of the memories of the soul are encapsulated in emotional form. It is the emotional body. And so these 2 points travel with the moon in her orbit around the Earth. And one is called the South Node, and it's where it's our past. And the North Node is the way forward. The South Node is what we're releasing. The North Node is the way forward. And so they've moved from Cancer and Capricorn to a Sagittarius and a Gemini, which is a much different perspective. It is a much more how one uses the mind perspective. And so the South Node being in Sagittarius, it is saying what is coming up for review and release are old belief systems that no longer serve us. Sagittarius has a lot to do with our belief systems and what brings meaning to life. We call, one of the things we say about Sagittarius is the quest for the meaning of life, or the quest for truth. And the problem with Sagittarius is that we believe we found the truth, so we stop searching. Okay? And so a lot of our old beliefs are coming up for review, places that we believe, let's put this, where we stop searching. Okay? And the North Node of the moon, the way forward, is in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, and it is about questioning. It's about being the heretic. And there are no sacred cows with Mercury. Mercury questions everything, and it is about critical thinking skills, the use of our critical thinking skills. And when we're in a time like this, there can be cognitive dissonance, where people's beliefs do not line up with new information coming in, so they can't believe it. And I just want to give an example of an experience I had a few days ago. It's a woman that I know. She's an acquaintance, and she's a nurse practitioner. And I shared an article about the Surgeon General of the United States talking about how masks were not helpful and the reasons why. And I can go into that. And she wrote back and said, well, I don't believe anything he said because Trump appointed him. Well, that's a cognitive dissonance. There was information coming in that she couldn't handle, and so she chose not to believe the Surgeon General of the United States, who is a doctor. And there are many doctors speaking out now about use of masks, generally and publicly, and how they're more harmful than helpful. But that is just, I'm going to say, an example of what we might see when our beliefs are challenged. And how much is what we're holding belief, and how much are we, we would never learn anything new if we didn't open to new information coming in. And the thing is, the mind is what is there to discriminate. And it's actually the heart that tells us whether it's true or not. And so the other thing I want to say is, in this changing of the nodal axis, Neptune is square this nodal axis. And a square is always a challenge. And so Neptune is the energy field. And so I believe what this is also saying is just the conclusion that I came to, that we are to question, we are to do critical thinking skills, and know that there is a piece, there's an energetic component to this that we may not be able to understand at this point. But I feel like, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is very much about the integration of science and spirituality, as we move into quantum physics, which is more about the field where everything is energy and everything is connected. And so there is a piece to this virus that is quantum, that is energetic, and that we can't fully understand with our left brain, with our intellect, and yet we need to continually question, because the old beliefs, there's a lot of information coming out now just simply about the medical establishments, the way they have proceeded with some of their theories, working on theories that have not been proven, and presenting it as fact, and when new theories come along that disprove it, and the medical community not accepting it, because there's a whole industry built on this, on the way